Oh,
Wait,
God.
Are we really live?
We lost all of our monitors.
Here we go.
What just happened? Hey, everybody. Good start. Going to be a great show. This is my penultimate Warriors Den. Look it up. It's not my last Warriors Den. So I thought we'd do things a little differently this week. Luke is on vacation. He'll be back next week. He and I will do the show next week. But thought we'd invite on the lads, because they're going to be on later anyway, so let's just do the whole show with them.
Yep.
So we've got Steph Jawinski, who people have referred to as a legend. Did you see that?
Legendary?
I was watching last week's show, and they're like, Steph's a legend.
Were they all like
Sweet.
in samurai armor and just saying it over and over
I
and
think
over?
they call you a legend because they respect that you don't always tell them what they want to hear.
Ah,
Right?
good.
Right?
Can we do that?
Steph does it. Learn from the master. Learn from the legend.
Just gotta put it out there, I guess.
And then another Steph, Stefan Brochu.
That's me.
Sorry, if you don't know this Steph, fight team, Steph Brochu, game modes team. And this, we're going to call this Arcade Phil.
Arcade Phil, all right.
Formerly of the game modes team.
Well, still doing most
Still?
team, but
Yeah, I guess it is a mode. Huh?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But his main baby right now is Arcade.
Yeah, as of now,
Sort of
arcade
inherited
every
that
day.
from our Gobo friends
Yeah,
who built
exactly.
it and
Yeah.
handed it off to you.
Yeah.
So everyone be nice to Arcade Phil. I've seen your Reddit comments. You might have him read the comments later. It'd be fun.
What about us?
You don't have to be nice to Phil.
Or nice
But
In fact, well, I can't control if they're going to be nice. I think they'll like your shirt, though. Your Cthulhu shirt.
thank you.
I like it. So, yeah.
I bought it myself.
Really?
Yes.
With money?
Yeah.
Wow. Not Bitcoin?
No Bitcoin.
Okay. So, hey, there was a morning maintenance this morning. I wanted to do a quick blurb about that. It was actually to tweak some more matchmaking parameters. We talked about that a few weeks on the show with Guillaume, another designer. We are just flush with designers on the Warriors Den. He told you about the tests they've been running. You can go back and look up that show. It was actually really informative. This should be the final test they're running. They're kind of figuring out, we have lots of different parameters in matchmaking. So one test was on skill rating, one test was on reputation, and then this one was on kind of segregating on those parameters, I think. So anyway, it was just another test to see how it's going to go next week with our patch. We're going to go back to where we were before this test, and then they're going to look at all the data from these tests, settle on some final parameters, and release those at some point in the soon TM future. We'll probably have Guillaume back on to tell you those final results, because that would be cool to hear. So that was this morning's maintenance. If you were wondering what was going on, why there was downtime, that's that. And just some other quick news before we get to patch notes. That's why these guys are really here. We have patch notes coming today. The patch is coming next week. Yeah, it's true. Patch drops next week, not today. So don't spoil things.
Nope.
This week's weekly arcade quest is one of your babies.
Yeah.
It's called Vortigern's Task. I'm going to read, unless one of you guys wants to read the flavor text here.
Go ahead.
No?
You go
Great.
ahead.
All right. Greetings, warrior. He's polite. Vortigern is polite. Vortiger has a special assignment for you. He speaks in the third person. Amazing.
Like any good man. Really.
Vortiger has a special assignment for you. Should you decide to accept it, you must sabotage the Vikings who are stationed in Ilkaria's barrier and the Fold. Should you or any of your troops be killed, the Blackfriars will disavow any knowledge of your actions. Good luck, warrior.
Under the radar, huh?
He talks about himself in the third person and is kind of a dick. I love Vortiger. I love him. Cool. So that starts now and lasts for a week. And as always, you can get your exclusive quest rewards if you successfully complete it. We got an event order. Ranked Vanquisher. Stefan, you love ranked mode.
Everyone loves ranked mode.
Yeah. So this one gives you, if you're the faction that wins, you get 4 XP boost. Second place faction gets 3 XP boosts. Third place gets 2 XP boosts. It starts tomorrow and runs until the 11th.
And then you can get into platinum and above for next season, right?
If they're as good as you.
Oh, hopefully.
And you know what?
Well, he is legendary.
He is a legend
True.
in
Oh,
some
but not
fashion.
dairy? Okay.
No dairy. No dairy for you.
Disappointed.
I
One
think
day.
you're just taking a nap. You're taking a nap on your hand.
I
Just-
can't wait to see those memes after the show right now.
People can just Photoshop the hands out and put like Shigoki's chest there or something.
There we go.
Oh, Jurassic
That was
Park
pretty
style.
Steph, how's our friend the Lawbringer doing?
Fantastically.
Yeah?
Yeah. Lawbringer's having a lot of fun right now.
Yeah, are you having fun with the Lawbringer?
Yes. And Lawbringer's great friend Raider is having a lot of fun as well
It's true.
upstairs.
It's true. Stay tuned for that, folks.
Yes.
I was trying to get Steph to leak more stuff, but I'm glad he didn't.
Sorry.
I'm glad he didn't. We got tournaments happening, as we do every week. So here's an interesting one. It's called Champions Road. It's a PC 1v1 tournament happening this Sunday, the 10th at 10 a.m. MST, which is Mountain Time? Mountain?
Mountain?
Yeah, you know, like if you live in like the Rocky Mountain region, it's like Colorado.
The Midwest.
What's the Canadian?
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. I heard that they
If you're
want
from
to
Saskatchewan, for example, like a lot of our viewers.
Regina.
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 You have to be careful about that. Thing.
Why isn't it Regina?
Because it's a
Have we
queen.
discussed this as a country?
Because it's the queen.
Queen Regina?
No. Regina, like that comes from
Region.
the person who reigned,
Sure.
and so that the queen, the mother queen, was known as
Man,
Regina.
Steph dropping some knowledge here.
Always.
You're from closest to Regina being Regina.
Regina.
Being
Toronto.
an Ontarian. Do you have thoughts on this?
Sure. Yeah, we don't have much visibility on the west from Toronto, honestly.
Because of the mountains.
Yeah,
But you have to-
and prairies, I
But
think.
you have the CN Tower. You should be able to see.
Yes, and all good Torontonians go up
It's a
that.
good bit. Is this a good
It's
bit?
flat.
Yes, totally.
Bring them back more often, those two on that
Right?
couch. And let
Canada
them go.
chat?
Canada chat.
So Champions Road. So I'm going to read the blurb they put because I thought this was interesting. Again, it's Sunday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is actually wrong. Daylight Savings Time is this Sunday. Ooh, I'm so glad I caught that.
Wait, is it in Canada only? Because I
Nope.
remember that the other one was only Canada and not the States.
What?
Yeah, they're shifted now
Since when? Like now?
since the fall,
No.
I believe. so.
Canada and the States. No.
I can't believe it.
I don't.
I'll have to look it up.
Chat.
Pretty sure.
Let's get a fact check in the chat. So whatever. It's probably 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, right? Spring ahead. I don't know. Look on Battlefy for the actual time. But here's what he wrote. This tournament takes very high skilled players from around the For Honor community and says, do you like money? Win a map, get paid. Lose a map, and you are out of the tournament.
Damn.
No second chances, no mercy. There will be a total of 30 matches and 31 players. Everyone that signs up will get a chance to fight once. The prizes are $15 per match won for a total of $450. To participate in the tourney, you need to sign up, send them, I don't have the person's name, I'm sorry, the year you play account, and on the day of the tourney, be online until I invite you to our fight. So that's on Battlefy. Go sign up if they haven't already filled up with people. I saw our devastatingly flawed friend Satnix has already signed up for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe
See
I'll
how he
update the
does.
tier list again.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think he updates the tier list based on how he personally does in tournaments?
Yeah, whoever beats him probably goes above.
I love it. Any of you know Hungarian?
Nope.
No.
Personally?
Well, we've got another. So we've had this a few times on the show. These Hungarian-only tournaments. I looked. They have a lot of signups. We should do, Alex. We should do a community event in Hungary. She's not listening. She's on the headphone. She's going to hear me in
40
like
seconds.
Yeah, in like 40 seconds.
40 seconds
Oh,
away.
okay. So this is the. She just did it. This is the Magyar Bajnokság. I actually looked up how to pronounce it this time, and I forgot. I'm sorry. I really did. I tried yesterday. I listened on Google Translate and all that. So it's a PS4 1v1, Hungary only, Saturday, March 9th at 7 p.m. Central European Time. That is before daylight savings, because that's on Sunday. And the prize, which I had to translate from the Hungarian, says it's deciding the Hungarian championship for the spring.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Cool.
They have belts.
It says Tavaji Magyar Bajnoki Chim Eldontage. I think that was pretty good. Someone check me on my pronunciation. I looked it up and I tried. Hey, another thing about tournaments we wanted you to know, we have a mailing list now that our friends have set up. It's all one word, and Max has a thing. There it is, For Honor Tournaments. He spelled it right and everything, at Ubisoft.com. If you have a tournament coming up, if you have any awesome clips from your tournaments or your own performance in tournaments, if you have anything tournament related you want us to know, use that email address and it will go to the relevant people. Because we look on Battlefy a lot, but maybe things are not always just happening on Battlefy. So use that email address, folks, and you can reach us. Cool. So I wanted to put up the roadmap we showed last week, which all of you watched last week's show, I'm
Yes,
sure.
always.
I'm sure you did. Not because I want to go over the Rank Vanquisher challenge again, but we see next week on the 14th begins our seasonal event. And you see that it goes until the 28th. You see that it's blurred out, though. We don't really share much. I have been given approval
What?
Supposedly.
to reveal
Uh-oh.
an image telling you what this event is right now.
You gonna let us know too?
Yeah, look at that. Max just did it.
Wow.
Black Prior's riposte.
Riposte.
Thank you. That is the name of the event. It says, ready your weapons for the battle of attrition. Don't say anything about that, Stefan Brochu.
I'd never say anything about that kind of stuff.
No, keep it up, keep it up. You see the dates. You see Vortiger looking badass with some custom outfit. And maybe you see some other things in the image.
Can I say one thing about it? It's cool. It's really
yes.
cool.
Yes.
We'll allow it.
We've played a bunch of
No,
times,
it is really
obviously,
cool.
and we really like it. So,
But what I like, again,
we might be a bit biased.
We're not going to go into it. Next week you'll get all the details. But what I like that you can see, it's about Vortiger. And we mentioned at the beginning of the season, we're going to be able to weave in more of our lore about our characters, starting the season the way we're doing things. So the seasonal event, you see, it's about Vortiger. So you're going to learn more about Vortiger, this handsome fella here. So I'm very excited about it. We're going to show you all the details next week, but that image should get you talking a little bit. Do you have thoughts about what's going on in that image? Let's hear them. Okay, all of that, last thing to get through, and then we'll do patch notes, is the content of the week, which is new elite outfits. It's one for each faction. The Knights get the Falcon's Reach, Samurai get the Lucky Trickster, Vikings get the Triad of Crows, and the Wulin get the Fortunate Spirit for 7,000 steel. And Max has prepared a video. Let's check it out, and we'll be back with patch notes. Oh, I don't like this new thing where the screen goes completely black. I don't.
And-
Hi, guys.
And we're live.
I've been informed I have a clack in my voice this week. I don't know what's happened. A tick, as some people have referred to it. Straight up, I'm sorry. My mouth's clicking. I got water. Gonna hydrate throughout this next segment. But if you ASMR tingle heads are in the game, maybe it's working for you. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
So Steph doesn't know what ASMR is.
Him.
Do you, Phil?
No clue.
Really?
Hey, you made fun of me.
Because it's fun to make fun of somebody else.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what it stands for, but basically it's videos of people like talking, whispering in a really
Whispering or brushing their hair.
relaxing
or-
way and doing weird things
very
with
gentle
lights
noises.
and trying different things in their mouth that make different noises like pop rocks. And for certain people, these sounds give them tingles in their head.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they call
In their
themselves
heads.
tingle heads or tingle brains or some shit. So you don't know about this?
No, this is new information for me.
It's all true.
So
I'll try to remember this for,
after I leave the Warriors Den, I will be starting an all ASMR channel, which I will be monetizing and expect you guys to support. Hey, so we got patch notes next week. This patch drops. The full patch notes should be going up on our website during this segment if they're not up already, but these are the guys. So patch notes, I don't know if they're alphabetical, but we start with Arcade. So Arcade Phil, be nice to Arcade Phil. I saw your Reddit. You read the Reddit post.
Yeah, I read it. Yeah. Pretty good puns. That's good.
It's like you fill them with rage.
Yeah, I feel unfilled by something.
That's a pretty easy one.
That is pretty
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
There were some better ones. What were the other? Do you remember the other ones?
Which one?
Where you got them written down there?
They've not been filling the arcade mode.
Oh, feeling.
Filling.
Not great.
Yeah.
So what do we got coming for Arcade? next week?
Arcade, yeah, in next week's patch. So we are going to be putting in the new map that launched in Season 9. So the Harbor is going to go live in the random quests.
Okay.
So that's the boring part, let's say, compared to what's next. So basically for weekly quests, we are now adding 2 new objective types. So you'll be either encountering, so we'll have a total of 3. So we'll have the eliminate objective, which is the regular one you've seen all along right now. So kill the enemies in front of you. We're adding a kill target, we're calling it. So basically, out of the enemies in front of you, you're going to have one that's tagged by the icon above his head. Kill that guy, and you're done. The other bots that are there in front of you are there only to go get in your way. So that's the second one. And the third one, which was kind of requested a lot, is basically a survive objective. So you're up in the map with some bots that are going to be respawning until the timer runs out, basically. So we're going to be playing with those in a weekly quest only right now.
Okay.
We're not putting them in random quests because basically it would be a colossal task to do so because of the randomness factor of arcade. In the random arcade, having each and every encounter possible be available in all of those 3 variations is simply above what we can do right now. So we are, of course, thinking about doing it, investigating when we're going to be able to roll that out. But for now, it's going to be purely in weeklies.
Do you find people play the weeklies more anyway than the randoms?
Well, basically, yeah. So our 2 most played arcade quests are the weekly and the common quests. So it's basically, since the launch of the weeklies, it's the most played quests rarity of all. The common are there. We've seen a big upsurge in the common quests at the launch of Season 9.
Yeah.
So as we were expecting with Block Prior coming out, people taking him, going to grind some common quests, get some gear, get XP.
Cool.
And as well, maybe probably discover how to play the character instead of going in PvP. So yeah, those are our 2 most played right now. And yeah, we're happy about it. And even since the Assassin's Creed event, the weekly has been up in general, even though the difficulty sometimes is still up and down week by week. More people are playing it than before, so that's pretty cool.
So you're aware of the difficulty concerns.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So of course, if we talk even further down the line, so for next patch, that's pretty much only it. What we have for arcade, we have those new objectives.
Yeah.
and we have new weekly quests that are going to be rolling out. So what's happening for the future of arcade? We could say it that way. So basically, like we already talked about last time I was here, arcade was previously done by our partners at Gobo. They did the whole arcade feature up to launch, and then it transferred over here. So basically, what happened is that I was getting ramped up, let's say, on the feature. I had to learn all of its secrets, and of course, we were monitoring all of the player behavior and the feedback and everything. While I was doing that, I was also creating all the new content for Season 9. So there was a lot of things to do, so not a lot of time to just sit down and look at what we have and the live part and the difficulty and the balance and stuff like that. Finally, we are ahead in schedule, so we can finally look at those things. So for Season 10, we are completely rebalancing the whole arcade mode in terms of difficulty. So the different stats that are being applied on the player based on his gear is going to be highly different. So that's going to be a big change for the arcade. So yeah, basically, we were all agreeing that.
What you're just saying,
Whoa.
I have to agree with what the Filthy Spaniard said in chat, is that it fills me with excitement.
With excitement.
Because his name is Phil.
Oh, that's a good one.
Is that
Phil?
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. But yeah, so we want to make it more, I'm going to use the word accessible. We want more players to be able to enjoy the content. And what we're actually doing is we're leaning a bit further than what we intended before in terms of the gear score and the difficulty of the actual activity. So your gear score is less going to be when you go in, your stats that you're getting because of your gear score are going to be less punitive than before. So that basically our goal is that you could pick up a new character of the season and potentially go in higher difficulty quest, even if you have a low gear score with it. Because if you don't want to grind common quests with rank 1 bots and easy stuff like that, you can go in higher difficulties. It's going to be more difficult, but not as difficult as right now if you go on live with like a common gear hero in a heroic quest. It's almost impossible to do. So we are changing that.
Cool.
And we are also a big one. We're investigating some new tech for bots about how they will behave more in their defensive aspect of their behavior. So we know that sometimes you fight a bot and you feel, especially high-ranked bots, you feel like they're cheating. Of course, that's not our intention. We don't want them to cheat. But the way the system is built right now makes that feeling possible. So now we're trying to make it less of a problem. So hopefully that will all be there for Season 10, at the launch of Season 10. We'll see if it makes it. But yeah, a lot of interesting things coming up.
You guys are doing a lot with arcade.
Yeah, while creating other content as well.
That's cool. We'll have you back on when we have specifics that you want to share.
Yeah.
Thank you, Arcade Phil. Arcade Phil, everybody. Yes, I like that stuff. We don't do enough clapping between segments on this show.
Wow.
Okay, speaking of clapping, this is going to get some claps in the chat.
Okay.
So with this patch that's coming next week, the skull's going away. In Dominion and Skirmish, you will now have the Breach style UI layout.
We're bringing out the great Breach UI in all modes. Well,
Next week it's just Dominion and Skirmish,
yes.
and then rolling out to the other modes as well.
Yes.
But yes.
It's very exciting, actually.
It's very exciting, and I know you're excited because I've read comments about the skull for a couple of years now. So, yeah. Are you excited about that stuff?
I'm super excited. Although I fear I will still see the skull in my dreams at this point. So I'm shocked.
But that's
Wow, what does
more
that say
that's
about
more
you?
about your deep down feelings.
At how often I go breaking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look for that. So that also moves the timer up into that little widget as well. Cool. Okay, here's another interesting thing that will make more sense given time. So there is going to be a new tab in your outfits section. The masks tab is now called the Illustrious
Oh boy.
Illustrious. And that's all I can say about that. They literally put redacted in the patch notes, so that's all I can, yeah.
Are you supposed to read that sentence or?
It says Mask Tab was renamed because of the redacted outfits.
Oh. So big black bars with outfits.
Yeah. So check that out next week. And now we get into the world, the brain of Stefan Jawinski.
Oh, that's you.
You got your patch notes, no?
Sorry, I'm following
You're
along.
zoned out.
I swear.
On the cough syrup.
No. That'd be wrong.
Revenge.
Revenge.
Oh, boy. It's
Revenge.
a big one.
Finally happening next week.
Next week.
Next week. We're removing revenge gain from 1v1 or outnumbering scenarios. So this means you're in a duel in a 4v4 mode, you don't get revenge. Your opponent doesn't get revenge. You're us versus one person, the other person can still get revenge, we can't get revenge. Super cool.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're gonna slightly increase the rate of gain of people who are in 1v2, 1v3, or 1v4 scenarios, and they will go from, the multiplier will be 0.7 for 1v2, which was 0.5, 0.9 for 1v3, which was 0.75, and 1 for 1v4, which was 0.8. So you should get it slightly faster when you are defending.
Yeah.
Dope.
That's cool. We think this is going to be really good for a couple of reasons. Big reasons are going to be if you're a character that wants to fight in a 1v1 scenario, you can actually do that without feeding the other person revenge. So there's some hope you might be able to kill them. It also means when your friend rolls up to a fight that the two of us are the two of us are fighting, and someone rolls up to help one of us, thereby screwing us because we give the other person revenge. That's out. It's gonna be super interesting.
Very, very interesting.
I think it's gonna shift the meta a little bit.
That's exciting.
Yes.
And for
I can't
arcade,
wait.
we're actually using that to update a new, and one of the modifiers we had, which was revenge.
Yeah.
So in revenge, in any situation, you were gaining more revenge. So that change broke that modifiers in 1v1 encounters. And so then we decided, well, let's just let's do like the old modifier rules for that one.
Okay.
So when you see a revenge modifier in arcade, even in 1v1, you are gaining
Okay.
a revenge. So there's going to be that cool little souvenir right there of how things were before. Yeah.
The artifact of revenge.
Or play campaign.
Or play campaign.
What?
I actually saw an interesting question. Are we able to use campaign at all for arcade mode?
Do you mean story mode?
Yeah, I mean story mode.
Funny fact though, we all worked on the story mode.
Yeah, true. We were the campaign.
That's the
Story mode?
Yeah.
Story mode boys.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Is that a thing though? Like, is it modular that you could put it into arcade, or is it
Right
its own
now,
separate
it's
world?
totally not possible.
that's what I thought.
Maps were so much done for like that scripted. Well, especially when we're talking about those unique maps for the campaign, for story mode. Sorry. So right now we should have to go back in and do a bunch of work to bringing them up to our new technology that we've had since launch.
Yeah.
We may see it down the road, but right now it's not happening for sure.
It's true. But at the same time, you can see like little pieces have come forward, like a beachhead. Looks like the Viking.
Yeah, when we did the Ice Brawl event also, we used the pond, the frozen pond.
Yeah. Broken ice.
Love that pond.
Yep.
Cool. And so, just for a little behind the scenes stuff, because revenge is not a thing that Steph's fight team can just go and change. Like, this highly impacts game modes. We just learned that it impacts arcade.
Yeah, it
obviously.
impacts us as well. So we're actually quite happy with it because we found that, especially in Dominion, we had lots of revenge gain for weird reasons, and so we're happy about that.
Yeah.
It impacts us like very indirectly. It's not like a huge impact. It's not like when we made the move to reduce the revive from 100% to 50%, that had a much deeper impact on us, and we had to look at different things. But revenge does affect us, yes.
And I saw on Reddit, I'm sorry I didn't catch the username, but they were speculating that this change actually could really boost the elimination mode experience.
Yes, elimination being one of our oldest modes that maybe doesn't get enough love from players. It could change things. we are going to wait and see and start looking at numbers. And you were talking to me about that this morning, about talking about the numbers and how different matches, the little known facts, for example, that in Tribute, about 30% of the matches finish within 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it goes to 60% of the match finishing around the 10-minute mark. So there's a weird curve in it, and it's kind of made that way to have that kind of experience. But yeah, I mean, we're always monitoring what's happening on the different modes. Whether or not lots of players play it, it's still data is data.
Right. Data is data.
To quote somebody that's no longer
The long,
with us, he's not dead. He's just not here anymore.
a long departed Damien Keegan. You see, he's hammered this into all of our brains with the data phrases. Cool. All right, Steph, continue. You have so much more.
Super exciting. Yeah, so smaller one here, Unbalanced. This one is for really full population, newer players and stuff like that. When you unbalance someone, they used to have dodge properties on the falling state. That's been removed.
Dodge properties meaning they wouldn't get hit as they're falling?
Yeah, like they dodge your sword as they're falling down with skill.
It's
I
a
guess. I
dodge
don't know.
just to the ground.
Yeah.
So downward dodge.
Exactly. So that's being removed, and the big benefit that we're going to see is full population players, new players, and stuff like that are going to have the good feeling of, hey, I knocked the guy down,
Yeah.
and now I don't whiff my follow-up attack, which really feels bad because you miss it by like millimeters.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that was my big opportunity to get 30, 40 plus damage, and you totally don't.
Right.
So this should be much more clear and understandable, easy, kind of across the board to hit
So
some of these things.
folks need to update their max punish spreadsheets.
Yes, this will have impacts on out of stamina max punishes that you can get from particular attacks. But right now we're leaving that to you guys to explore the system and see what's possible now.
I bet Setmix has thoughts.
Probably.
I'm sorry, I don't know why you've become my target. I love you, Set. He's a delightful Swiss man. He's Swiss,
Is he?
He's delightful, yes.
right? You're Swiss? I think he's Swiss.
Waiting for his update.
He'll tell me. He'll tell me later.
There we go.
Okay, how about Shinobs?
Shinobi, we're continuing our strategy of nerfing out of lock melee attacks that are exceptionally fast. We did this start of Season 9 with Warlord, now we're doing it with Shinobi. So Slide Tackle now will hit at 600 MS and not at 300 MS as it used to. So this should remove this basically from 1v1, or at least highly nerf it from 1v1 play and still be viable in 4v4s. That's what we're going for. As compensation on Shinobi, just small stuff, but should be pretty cool. Zone attack, the third strike, is going to be feintable in this patch next week.
Okay. So that's Shinobi. Jang Jun.
Small thing here, but we'll see more interesting stuff in the feats in just a second. In the fight kit, we're removing uninterruptible stance on the Do Shi choke strike. So as you would reach out and choke, you would have armor. That's been removed. The idea being that this is your 1v1 or try to knock down for out of stamina move and use a zone attack for 28 damage in the cases where there's multiple or you care more about damage.
It's also, this is more in line with some of the changes you've done with other characters too, right? Like with
Exactly.
Demon's Embrace used to have it, right?
Exactly. So we're just trying to make it a little more
Consistent.
Exactly, and so that you can't slam multiple people while the opponent is stuck in an animation.
Cool. So you mentioned feats, so why don't you roll right into feats?
Feats, Soothing Mist. The nerf has finally come. So Soothing Mist is the tier 3 feat on Jang Jun, which heals like everybody in the universe for 1 trillion HP. We are nerfing this to
Really nothing with a lot.
basically the way it works is depending on how many nearby enemies there are, there's different thresholds. So just kind of read you as we go. If there's no nearby enemies, you will now get 10, used to be 25. If there's one nearby enemy, you'll get 15, used to be 40. If there's 2 nearby, it is now 20, used to be 55. If there's 3 nearby enemies, you get 25, used to be 70. If there's 4 nearby enemies, you'll now get 30, used to be 85. and the cooldown is doubling to 2 minutes instead of 1 minute.
Significant nerf.
It is a very large nerf.
Yeah.
However, before it was a free, everybody get full
Yeah.
HP, and basically you don't lose group fights where you have Jang Jun
The JJ.
sticking around.
Right.
Or you could extraordinarily long stall them out. Here, I think the interesting thing is going to be, because your cooldown's long and because the HP is smaller individually, it's going to be something that you will want to save into the situations where you've got a bunch of teammates nearby, you've got a bunch of enemies nearby. It's time to do a heal. Still, for if everyone's nearby, 120 HP spread among everybody.
Yeah.
But that's a strategy.
So if you haven't seen on the last couple of shows, we've had Steph on also, and we've talked a lot about the Jang Jun, especially when we talked State of Balance. So feel free to go back to those previous episodes to kind of catch up on the team's current thoughts with Jang Jun. I think this was a big piece of the pie of what you were planning immediately.
Absolutely. I think this is the most significant piece because, I mean, like, it's crazy how often you can use it and how great it was. And at the same time, like, we've seen it banned from certain tournaments and so on.
Yeah. It was an auto also on the moment you had breach online, like just regular breach match or dominion match. It was an auto.
Yeah, you had
So it was part of the meta too much, and it would imbalance the matches completely.
Exactly. So we want you to make choices when you have these feats. When do you use it? Is this the right time? This should bring it ideally to the correct state,
Yep.
Cool.
but much better than before, at least.
All right. What other feats have got interesting updates?
As we go down, revenge attacks. A big issue on this one is it no longer will give revenge meter when attacking soldiers, pikemen, and archers. This is going to kind of go hand in hand with the revenge gain changes
You're not
from
farming
before.
revenge.
From minions, and then suddenly characters got revenge out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's a little weird. So
Yeah.
fixing that.
Cool.
Punch through. We've decided to apply the effect to light attacks that are blocked but not interrupted. So if you have an enhanced light, or you're in revenge, or the opponent's out of stamina, then your light attacks are not stopped on block, so you get the punch through effect.
Cool.
So buff. Doom banner, Stalwart banner will no longer be removed on death of the user.
Cool.
Traps work this way already. If you put a trap down and you die, trap is still there.
Yep.
Banners used to disappear. We're going to leave the banners there. We think that's a little more useful for...
For sure. It can be your last act as you're dying.
Exactly. And now you're still helping the commander or something like that, right?
And that happens quite often, actually.
Yeah, that's-
Just at the last second, you do your feat, and you get killed almost right away.
Yeah.
Okay, let me rephrase that.
Happens
it
to
happens
you a
to
lot?
me quite often. but I
How
am a team
altruistic,
player,
right?
so
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
I've always said
I love
that about
it.
you.
I love it. That's cool.
And then perks.
Perks. We're buffing 6 of them. Basically, these are the weakest effect, lowest picked. Where that kind of intersection happens, we've decided to buff these ones.
Cool.
And should make them a little more viable. Survival Instinct, when in critical health, gained 25%. Stamina cost reduction was 15. Last Stand, when in critical health, gained 40% damage resistance, was 20. Crush Them, after a kill, your next attack will do 30% more damage, was 20. Early Reaper, on spawn, your next attack deals 30% more damage, was 20. And Supersonic, you still retain the effect of in revenge, you'll gain the movement speed and interruptible sprint. But now your perk will remain active for 10 seconds after revenge ends, meaning that you can
Disengage.
more easily disengage. Exactly.
Cool.
So we'll see if that switches up people's picks. a
Fresh
little bit.
focus, you got that as well? It's on the flip page.
Oh, flip page. All right,
This is what I'm here for, Steph.
I'll
I'm
count
just
to
here
6 in the
keep you on
future. Thanks, Fed. What am I going to do without you?
It's literally anyone else can do it. I'm doing it. I'm reading a page, making sure you're following along.
Awesome. It still seems hard, though. So when out of stamina, blocks and parries recover 20% stamina. This is still as is, but we're going to say counter guard breaks will also give this 20% effect as
All
well.
right. It's a lot of stuff. Actually, there's
Steph
more in the bug fixes, but we'll come back. Let's go to some other stuff. Stuff part 2.
Part 2.
Breach.
Which is actually really more map changes. I'm pretty sure our viewers know that we've been trying to fix the balance, the win ratio for attacker defenders for both Hallowed Bastion and Kazan Castles. The efforts are still ongoing. The results have been good so far. We're not quite there yet, so we're doing like these are micro changes. In both maps, we're revamping the Archer Zone 5. So in the second phase, the one that's in the middle, we're making the spaces a little bit more easier to keep and streamlining the experience a little bit. They were hard to keep or to take, actually, from the attacker point of view.
Okay.
That's usually where things stalled mostly. So we fixed that. I'm not going to describe the changes. You'll see next week when you play. The other thing that
Streamlined, says the patch notes.
streamlined. Mathieu wrote this. If Mathieu says streamlined, he means streamlined.
They haven't seen this guy, but he's very streamlined.
He's very, very
He's
streamlined.
like a dolphin.
It's the no. Is it the blowhole on top of his head that you're talking about? Okay. Like a dolphin. So anyway, so we've done a bunch of fixes. It does feel much better, and we are very anxious to see the results.
Cool.
The other thing that we've done on Hallowed Bastion, slight reorientation of the attacker spawn in all 3 phases, so that when you spawn, you have a better idea of what's going on. It's a little bit more oriented towards the archer points, so the moment you respawn, you can see the state of all the points right away, instead of having to look, which most people did, but now at least you don't have to do it. And in Kazan Castle, is it Kazan? Can you pronounce that for me?
I would say Kazan. Like Shazam.
Shazam?
Let's call it Shazam Castle.
Shazam Castle. We moved the speed and the attack boost in the inner courtyard. So in the commander's phase, in phase, what we call phase 2, so that they're a little bit more useful than they used to be. They used to be a little too much out of the way, so they were not used all that much. So we've done those changes.
Cool. Here's a little one, but for you PC players, they added an option to test your current mic volume in the audio options menu. So you don't have to like do it in your system tray level. With this option, players can test the sensitivity and volume of their microphone directly in audio options. A checkbox will uncheck automatically when leaving the menu. And on PC, change the behavior of the mouse focus in the menus to reflect the actual selection. When nothing is selected with the mouse, then nothing will be highlighted.
Damn. Quality of life.
As you would expect. Okay, so how about these fight bug fixes?
What's super
anything juicy in
exciting? There is a Predator's Hunger one. That's cool. For Shaman, it used to be that Predator's Hunger would knock the opponent and you further apart if the opponent dodged into you at the time that you hit them. So she does her little like run up, shoulder tackle thing, right? And you dodge into it, and then you'd be too far apart. She'd whiff her attacks. She would feel bad. That is fixed.
That was fine.
For non-Shaman players.
We enjoyed
Non players, we like that.
Shaman should be happy now. I guess. So
Shaman
that's
should feel
something.
shame.
Shame.
That's why I call it the Shaman.
The shaman. Yeah.
It's still a Pokemon though.
That's one. Is that one of the 4 different ways we pronounce
Yeah,
the name?
it's one of the 4.
The other frustration thing here that's kind of a big deal is there used to be an issue where Commander, Guardian, and the Officer would interrupt moves that would bind them due to bleed damage. So Shaman would see this most obviously because she's constantly bleeding people and trying to bite them, and then you break apart from the bite. That's no longer the case.
Yep.
It's just normal behavior for them.
Okay. That's what you mean by bind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Like you've been bound together. Yeah.
Bleeds that bind.
The bites that bind.
Oh, yeah.
What else is super exciting in here? Shaolin, some stamina cost stuff. All of your key stance heavies will now be 12 stamina cost, which used to be a variable depending on where you got into it from or what you did. Super annoying to explain, but trust me, it's all 12 now. So
Trust me.
should be good. I think those are the big ones. Minor
Blackbriar has a couple.
yeah, they're mostly minor quality of life stuff for like movement and stuff. You would do an attack recovery, and then you wouldn't get your kind of strafe movement at the end of the recovery that you get on most heroes. You'd just be stuck in place. Now you have the same kind of comfort reactivity on these as everybody else.
Do you want to say something about the Aramusha bug fixes? I see Aramusha coming up in the chat. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm just looking. I know.
Fixed an issue. Okay, yeah. So if you unlock during Aramusha's Blade Blockade, you used to be able to get your attack to be unparryable. That is no longer the case. So good bug fix there.
Yes.
Aramusha nerf, but good bug fix. So yay.
If we enjoy those.
And fixed an issue that caused the Aramusha to be missing the get up animation after a revive, which is cool because it would just warp up.
Cool.
Last one on Blackbriar, because you were asking about that one. You, as an opponent, could activate Revenge at a certain point during Bulwark counter and escape the bind. That's no longer the case anymore in the patch next week.
Cool. Okay. The bind, as we learned earlier,
The bind, the all-important bind.
they're bound together.
Yes.
All right, and then there's some bug fixes on Breach. I don't know if they're mostly maps or...
No, well, some of them are, some of them are not. Some of them are very minor. Some of them are a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Fire Flask, Fire Trap didn't work on the RAM. They should have. That's been fixed.
Okay.
There's a bunch of them that tie all to the... there's two of them, actually. One that's for Breach, one that's for Dominion, that had to do with the Ballista, our friend. We've made the Ballista in Dominion and the Sentinel map the same as what we have in Breach now. So it's the same Ballista everywhere.
Okay.
But that caused us other issues, which the Ballista was now doing 60 points of damage to the Ram, which it's not supposed to.
Oof.
That's a bad... Well, it's a bad thing. If you sat on the Ballista and nobody challenged you for the entire match, maybe you could have killed the Ram by yourself.
Wow.
It's not easy to do, but we brought it back to 20. Now everything should be fine. Yeah, somebody who was dedicated. That's one way of putting it. So that's been fixed. There was a bug in Walled City where you could die right away when you spawned. There was a little bug. There was a hole that we fixed. There was something in Kazan. The RAM didn't quite move as fast during phase 2. That's been fixed. It wasn't anything major, but that's been fixed. And something about rain.
Something about rain? Fixed an issue that caused rain to be sometimes missing. So all you rain complainers will be happy.
We fixed it.
Cool. Yeah, you already did the Dominion one. Ranked fixed an issue that allowed players to disconnect their Ethernet at the end of a match to avoid loss. That's a big one.
It is a big one.
Thank you for fixing that. We've wanted that for a while. Thank you to whoever fixed it. Hero Tactics.
We've added some new hero tactics for Shugoki and Blackbriar, so you can go and learn about those heroes if you haven't had a chance to play them yet. We thought with the rework for Shugoki and the implementation of Blackbriar, the hero tactics were a bit skimpy for these two, so we buffed the tactics.
All right. There was a Forge map update, fixed an issue that caused the player to fall into an inaccessible area towards Zone C.
Yes.
Yes. And then little minor edits to Warrior Trials. And I think we're rounding the corner, folks. We're wrapping it up. Some customization stuff. It looks like it's all minor from here on out, yeah? And then PC-specific quad core things.
Are you working your quad cores again?
My quad cores have gone to hell.
Oh, geez.
I gotta get back to the gym. So I posted last night on Reddit that you guys would be on, and I did get a couple questions for the Broche. Mr. Brochu specifically, I wanted to ask those. From Dragonator23. I hope questions are being taken. They weren't technically, but I just happened to catch them before the show and ask Steph about them. So, all right, what improvements have you planned for the Breach mode? As it stands, the current state of Breach mode, ignoring connectivity aspects, is great. Still, is there a plan to remove the stages and making it more seamless?
I'm not 100% sure what he means by stages. I think he's probably referring to the phases.
Yeah.
The phases, no, we're not removing them. Yes, we're working on a bunch of things on Breach. The biggest thing is right now, one of the things we've noticed is the matches are very long on when the teams are equal, and that's great. That's fantastic. It's more intense, and that's part of what we want. But the problem is defender stomps are shortish. They last 10, 12 minutes about. It's not true for attackers. If the attackers are stopping the defenders, the match is way too long. And that causes your next question to come
You
up.
mean when the
more-
attackers are being stomped by the defenders?
No, when the attackers are stomping the defenders.
Yeah.
So if,
'cause I
we're,
still have to go
if
through
as an
the-
attacker we're steamrolling,
Yeah.
the match is still something like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's way too long. Nobody wants to suffer through 20 minutes. Well, maybe you. Well,
Yeah.
most people
I
don't
got
want to suffer
issues.
20 minutes of elimination. And that leads us to the surrender question, which I will answer after. But so we're looking at how do we make attacker stomps be shorter, and how do we make the match much more interesting with that way. So we're still in the early phases. We have a few things. I don't want to talk too much about it, but there's a bunch of things that we're working on, that we're testing,
Okay.
and that are very, very promising. They will change the meta a bit, which I'm actually happy about. It will give more options for the attackers and the defenders. It will force the defenders, hopefully, to be a little bit more complicated to play, to make the defenders pay more for mistakes that they make, which is also a very positive thing. And yes, so that we're working on. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening. I can't get into details, but we're. It's not because it's out that we are not looking at it anymore.
And you're right. He did mention if there's a possible surrender option.
We're
down
looking at the
line.
surrender option. We're focusing more right now on fixing that part,
Yeah.
and then surrender will come. But we want to do a surrender option. It's not at the top of the list, but it's something that's going to happen very
Cool.
quickly.
And did you have any thoughts on? He also asks reviving modes like skirmish, tribute.
There is stuff in the pipeline. The pipeworks.
Wow,
The pipeworks. That's a
Stuff in the pipe works.
There's stuff in the pipeline about that. We are going to do some. We're probably going to be doing some tweaks. There's stuff that's coming up.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to talk too much about it.
Yeah, when we get closer to it, you can get more
Exactly.
details. Yeah.
And yes,
That's fine.
we'd like to get people playing as much as possible, all the modes.
And then one last question from our friend, the Spaniard. I would add, for Breach mode, could we get an overall team score? Part of the reason the competitive community hasn't really jumped into
Yeah.
Breach, other than length, is there is no unambiguous way to determine a draw.
Yes. We are looking at giving methods for tournament organizers for Breach. Team score is one option. We are looking at different ways.
Yeah.
It is all ongoing right now
Yep.
as well. Basically, what we're looking at is a way to not have ties anymore. Right. So if you play 2 matches or 3 matches, that there's no possible ties. So that's also ongoing. That's a much bigger kettle of fish to fry.
Yes.
Yeah, almost.
It's a much bigger. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that we're looking at that. I've actually also printed, as you can see in my old man font, the next question that was in the thing.
Oh, cool.
The number of deaths. That is actually the reason there's no amount of times you got killed in the scoreboard was actually intentional. Something like Breach, where you could lose because of tickets, we felt that for toxic reason, we didn't want to display it. If I'm playing with you and Phil and Steph, and we were attacker and we lost, and I was killed 47 times, therefore I was responsible for the draining of all the tickets.
You'd be getting a lot of hate.
I didn't want that kind of experience.
No.
We didn't want that kind of experience, so that was very important. So it is actually intentional to not put the amount of death.
Yeah.
And which means that unless our community becomes a whole bunch of Care Bears and very supportive, no, I'm not going to say it that way, but probably we'll never put it, not for Breach, just because it's also tied into to a victory condition.
Yeah. Imagine if this was a Care Bear community. Someone out there has to be a Care Bear community manager.
I'm seeing memes that I don't want to talk about right now.
Spoilers for my future.
Conqueror could do it.
Yeah.
Conqueror's like, rah!
That's true. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask you. This is something you should never do in a live stream. I'm going to ask a question I don't know the answer to. See if any of you guys know it. Channel 5 News FH wants to know: are you going to fix the player has left the session banner that covers the chat
that's coming
box? Is it?
Is it part of the UI update?
Do we know
or-
when?
Yes.
This UI
There's
update?
I'm not sure.
not this
Yeah,
one,
exactly.
but we were looking. Was it announced?
Let's say that.
That, I mean, that's definitely one we've talked about a bunch
Okay,
because
good.
people have been.
We are
annoyed
looking
for a
at
long time.
fixing
Yeah,
the entire we're
Messaging.
making the UI better in general, and that's one of the things we're looking at.
There you go. See, ask
And maybe we'll answer.
Shall get maybe an answer and maybe receive.
Or at least very vague comments.
Welcome to the Warriors, Den. So that's it for the patch notes. They're on forhonorgame.com/patch notes right now, I believe. And all that's left is Community Corner. I think it'd be fun if you guys stuck around, watch some fun clips with us.
Always.
I've got a bill.
Look at
sorry.
this guy,
I've got a one.
Mr. Busy over here.
Sorry. They want new things in the next patch, right?
That's true. If you want things in the next patch, Stefan has to leave.
And now we look like slackers because
Right?
we're not leaving right
Oh, I
away.
guess nothing's going to be in the next patch from you guys then. 'Cause it's a 1
Always,
o'clock
always.
meeting.
Gotta be creative with exclusives, right?
Constant.
Right? How do you live with it?
I don't know.
Steph, thank you so much. Wait till we do the transition and you can leave. Okay. So we're going to go to the community corner now. Steph will be back someday soon, I'm sure. So give a thanks to the legend, Steph, and we'll be back with community corner. Again, every time you cut to us,
It's
it just
very
turns off. I don't know.
I don't like
Shout
how
out
it
to
turns off.
Claudio behind the camera. Max was giving him some shit, and I don't think he deserves it. All right, we actually have quite a quick community corner this week because we knew that the patch note stuff would be a bit long. So let's dive right into it. From Dawson9705, the Darknish Penguin.
I will take up arms again. Step out of the shadows and teach them true darkness.
But that's a perfectly good.
It's a dark penguin.
It's a dark.
Dark penguin, yeah.
Penguins are not all like sunshine and rainbows, let me tell you.
They're a little bit black and white.
Well, yeah, but I meant personality-wise. They're like,
Okay.
some penguins are great. I don't want to stereotype all the penguins. Anyway, from Butter Raider, Nerf Highlander.
No area raider!
Fight! I'm fast as fuck, boy!
Done, my glass!
Usna! Boom! Kutnu! Ratnu! Boom! Fuck! nuke ready for launch.
I love Butterator so much. Butterator does such good videos. All right, up next, Nibiru E, or I Nibiru I. When you face your demons and accept your fate.
Hello there.
Right.
I like the twist in that one, because we've seen that meme a lot, the whatever it is, anime thing. JoJo? I don't know. Maddie, is it JoJo? Da, 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 da. What anime is that? I don't know.
That's,
Guys, I'm sorry, I don't know anime.
that's not an anime song.
No, not the song,
Okay.
but the meme itself.
Because I believe that's yes.
The song is Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Max. I know it's called We'll Be Right Back. Why do I ask these things? Beast Lundy, you really think your boosted light spam works against me? Elimination.
That's a very good end of match.
Good job, Centurion. Shout out to anime boy Seb for telling us Jojo Wee. Yes, that is a JoJo reference. We work with Seb. He's great. You've never seen him. He's also streamlined like a dolphin. Up next, a 5-second video from Spingfire. For Honor, pow.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
Good stuff.
Effective.
Spingfire also does very funny videos. All right, from Rhaegar Dragon 1. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh, damn.
Get it?
Good one.
Good teamwork. Good teamwork. I had Max edit out the part where that guy was being super toxic. All right, from Patrick Dude 12. Happy Feet.
Yeah. Nice.
How did you synchronize it at the exact same moment? That was so good. All right, and our last clip of the week from Aprez. Look out, I think Shugo likes you.
Look out! I think Moto likes you. Here he comes.
I like 'em chunky. I like 'em big. I like 'em plumpy.
All right.
We just found that one this morning and threw it in as Max tells me it's a new meme. So thank you. I like the word plumpy a lot. On my gravestone, I hope it says he was very plumpy.
He was very plumpy.
That's it for this week's show, guys. Thank you so much. No thank you to Steph
a
Jawitsky,
pleasure.
who left.
Yeah.
And next week will be my last show. It'll be a fun one, though, because we're going to go in all the details of the seasonal event, which you learned at the top of the show. Actually, if we could put it up again, that'd be nice for people who weren't here, Max. Next week's event is Vortiger's Riposte.
Almost.
Riposte?
Almost.
Oh boy. No.
No.
There it is. Yay!
Black Friars Riposte.
Oh yes, Black Friars Riposte,
Yeah.
not Vortiger's. Sorry.
Vertigo is
Yeah,
the name of the guy.
I messed it up.
This is his class.
That's why I was stalling. I was waiting for you to put it up so I could say it correctly. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This was very
Thank
fun,
you very much.
and we will see you next week when the patch comes out. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
And For Honor, baby.
Hell yeah!